Good morning, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order at this time. If you can, please stand up and join me for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item would be the approval of the regular meeting proposed agenda. If I entertain a motion at this time. Moved by Commissioner Gray.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Haltz. And any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda would be the open forum. Is there anyone signed up for open forum this morning?
Yes, we have 2 people signed up for open forum. The first one is Terry Dickinson, and elections is her topic.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Attorney David Myers on August 29th, 2022 wrote, I am the attorney for Haven Township. Haven Township has a November election for town supervisor position. A candidate for township supervisor ran in the primary election for county board position and lost. She then filed for town supervisor position. She ran for county commissioner and lost. She then filed for town supervisor position in the November election. Any qualified voter may file for supervisor. Kari Watkins was on the primary ballot for a different position. She lost and then filed for town supervisor. She is not a candidate for any other office in this general election. The attorney wrote this in response to Sherburne County Auditor, who it seemed by the email trail might have been searching for an excuse to remove Watkins from the ballot since August 26th. On August 29th, the auditor wrote, Hey, David, Stella, in regards to the situation below, whereas a candidate filed for county commissioner race in May of 2022 and lost during the August primary, then filed for township supervisor seat that will be in the general election ballot in November. The question is, could there be a ruling provided as to the interpretation of the statute 204B.06? The township attorney is asking for clarification, as this could be a potential issue. I would like to get a response since this is holding up our ballot order. Oddly, although we requested all emails regarding the removal of Watkins, we did not receive the one before Diane, the auditor, wrote the statement that Mr. Myers was looking for clarification. In fact, to my basic reading skills, it looks like Myers responded to Arnold to clarify that Watkins was fine to remain on the ballot. Watkins was already listed on the Secretary of State's website as a candidate. What is stunning about this chain of events is that David Medea, the Director of Elections, Deputy Secretary of State, did not note any problems with Kari Watkins' name on the ballot for Haven Township Supervisor on the November election when he responded to the plea to remove Watkins from the ballot. As a citizen who values liberty and the constitutionally protected right to vote, I requested an investigation into this matter that, in my opinion, was biased against Kari Watkins and needlessly punitive. I received the attached photo saying it was the home of this attorney, who at 12:44 p.m. explained that Watkins was on the ballot for the office, was only on the ballot for one office, and then at 1:55 p.m. sent an email to Watkins stating that she would be removed from the ballot on the basis of multiple candidacy.
Sir, your time has expired.
I ask that you have a special election, and please do not appoint anybody from the auditor's office to fill the position.
Next, we have Kari Watkins. Subject was not filled in.
My time is up now.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just would like to request that we have a special election for the vacancy that is coming up for the auditor treasurer, rather than making it appointed. I realize that we probably need to appoint somebody to fill out the year, but there's 2.5 years after that of this position, so I really request that you would make a special election for this position. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There is nobody signed up, nobody else signed up, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Next item up will be the consent agenda. I am not aware of any changes or alteration of the consent agenda, so at this point, I entertain a motion to pass the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval of the consent agenda, and it's 19 items.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Phobie, seconded by Commissioner Gray. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. Motion carries. Moving right along. And next item will be announcements. Mr. Messel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Just a couple of quick announcements, more focusing on the end of the legislative session. But first, I'll pass around, we did receive notice from the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission regarding a public hearing that will be available online tonight. This is in regards to the Sherco 3 solar energy generating system here in Sherburne County. So I'll ask the county attorney if she'll pass this along, and you can make note if you'd like to participate, but given the sensitivity of the time constraints, I want to make sure you're aware of it. Second of all, just a couple of notes from the legislative session. If you're keeping track, we're down to 14 calendar days and 8 legislative days remaining. Things are kind of moving, but kind of not. And so what's happening is on the floors of both chambers, if things get bogged down, it really starts biting into the final time. For example, there was a 12-hour debate about gun storage. Was not anticipated, but of course that consumes the time. So basically what you're seeing is kind of lining up the biggest priorities and seeing if those will get through. Also of note, if people have been tracking with the Senate, Senator Mitchell has returned to the Senate and is participating in voting, but it's anticipated with the Ethics Committee meeting this week that will consume, again, additional precious time for the legislature. That being said, the biggest positive is that the Tyler decision and the bills to adjust that are moving forward with bipartisan support, and that's very positive both in the Senate and the House, and that's both a funding and a policy bill. So the policy will correct the Supreme Court decision, correct statute for that, and then funding would allow for the settlement of back takings that has been noted and has been worked on for at least the last year. Finally, just to give you a flavor overall for what's happening, there have been 0 conference committees set up for the budget bills. So the most important thing to get done, and there are no conference committees. However, there are nearly a dozen policy-focused conference committees already meeting. So at this point, it looks like policies will move, and then there'll be a last-minute move to get the budgets completed. I think that might be par for the course for history. I'm going to look at Commissioner Phobie and see if she agrees. That's just kind of how things lay out. That budgets are always kind of last minute with the big deals, and they'll probably hold the policy bills. Yeah. And then just a couple other notes real quick. The other big note I wanted to just mention is in the House, the tax bill does include a local option sales tax that would be authorized for counties and cities for defined capital projects. If you recall, I had floated this and let you know about it. That is moving forward. There are some differences, but it also does still include the tax base equalization fund. And this is important because our neighbor to the west is counting on local option sales tax to pay for a $300 million law enforcement jail and courts facility. So something we'll keep track of for the future. And then last but not least, with respect to the bonding bill, we do not have any projects in. As you know, it's mainly state funding. But there is, sadly, in both the House and the now in the Senate version, a capital projects replacement fund. And what that is an attempt by the state legislature to not see projects constructed that don't have a way to be maintained and replaced in the future. And the trigger for this is the legislature seeing projects that they funded 20 years ago come back now for replacement funding. And they're like, well, wait a minute, this was a local project. Why aren't you picking up the effort for this to maintain it? And so in many ways, they're saying local projects are becoming essentially state-funded projects in perpetuity. So the argument is if you go down to the legislature, ask for bonding, first of all, there'll be a required 50-50 match. And second of all, there'll be a requirement that you put aside capital project replacements so that you don't go back to the legislature again in the future. And that was something both AMC as well as League of Minnesota Cities was trying to hold off. I mean, that's almost a good faith thing, but to put it in there really will dampen future requests for capital projects simply because if you have to put aside the money, you might as well just borrow the money in the first place is kind of the logic there. So other projects, we can go into greater detail. I think you've been tracking them individually, but for our focus, at least, that's where things lie right now, and we expect that there'll be some movement this week, and then we'll see wrap up. So with that, I'll stand for any questions the board may have.
Any questions? No. No questions? Well, thank you very much for your report. It's always interesting to watch the legislature work.
Or not work.
Yeah, depending on how you view those things. The next item on our regular agenda will be to consider approval of a proclamation declaring May 12th to the 18th as National Police Week. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Commander Ben Zawacki. I was chosen to read the proclamation for National Police Week 2024. To recognize National Police Week 2024 and to honor the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Sherburne County Sheriff's Office. Whereas nearly 50,000 assaults against law enforcement officers are reported each year, resulting in approximately 13,000 injuries. Whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 22,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty, including one member of the Sherburne County Sheriff's Office. The names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. Whereas 232 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 118 officers killed in 2023. Whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 36th annual Candlelight Vigil that will be held on May 13th, 2024. Whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of the fallen officers and their families, and the U.S. flag should be flown at half-staff. Therefore, be it resolved that the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners formally designates May 12th through the 18th, 2024 as Police Week in Sherburne County and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this moment, I'd entertain a motion to accept that.
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Holtz
I'll second.
and seconded by Commissioner Danlowski. Any further discussion, comments?
I just want to thank all of our law enforcement officers in the county for all their dedication and their hard work. It is, we all know that it's been a tough couple years for law enforcement, and I couldn't be prouder of our law enforcement officers here in the county.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to also add, I'd also like to thank their families. So all of our officers, just grateful for all the work that you do, recognizing the difficulty is the day-to-day that you wake up and do it and show up. I really appreciate that and grateful for your families.
I think that was well said by both of them, so there's nothing to really add to that, but a thank you.
And I'm the same. Thank you so much for your dedication and your service. We definitely need all of our law enforcement. Otherwise, we're going to be a society that is totally in disarray. So thank you for showing up and doing the work.
I just hope everybody makes it to retirement. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 None opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I just want to add also, I want to thank you for your service in law enforcement. Recognize you today.
Thank you. Next item is consider and approve a proclamation declaring May 10th, 2024 as Child Care Provider Appreciation Day.
Good morning. I just want to introduce Anna Burns. She's going to read the proclamation, and she is our family and child care licensor for Sherburne County.
Thank you.
Good morning. Whereas family childcare is quality early childhood education and a valuable investment in our children's future, and whereas family childcare professionals play an important role in cultivating, supporting, and educating young children in a warm, loving, and culturally competent environment in a home-based setting to meet the needs of families, and whereas Sherburne County recognizes family childcare providers as an essential workforce for our economy that allow families access to the care needed for their children so they can work, and whereas Sherburne County recognizes family childcare providers, teachers, and educators for their efforts in caring for the children of working parents and providing them with quality early childhood experiences in the home, and whereas childcare programs are mostly small businesses that, through their work, support all other local businesses, and whereas our future depends on affordable, accessible, quality early childhood experiences, and support for high-quality childcare represents a worthy commitment to our children's future, and whereas Childcare Providers Appreciation Day offers an opportunity to recognize and commend providers for their dedication and hard work in caring for and shaping the lives and futures of our children. Now, therefore, the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 10th, 2024 as Child Care Provider Appreciation Day in our county.
Thank you very much. I would, at this point, I'd entertain a motion to approve this.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation recognizing Child Care Provider Appreciation Day.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Danilowski, seconded by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I just wanted to put out there that without our child care providers and our home-based child care providers, it would be very hard for people to get out into the workforce. And I'm hoping that there are some things that are coming up in regards to changing some of the rules and requirements for child care providers. And it isn't that we don't want safe environments for our children, but we want to make sure that we don't overdo. Currently, there is a proposed change to the regulations that are going to take the document from about 20-some pages to 90-some pages. So there are going to be opportunities to weigh in, whether you're a child care provider, whether you're a parent, whether you are an employer in this process. So please stay tuned as this kind of evolves, and hopefully we can come out in the end with a document that everybody can live with. It's safe for our children and also will help keep our providers' doors open and in business. So thank you.
Any other comments? Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's just, children are very important, and it's always the people that help everyone care for the children are an important part of our culture. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item will be the first in a series of things for our zoning. Will be consider approval of an interim use permit for a.
Mr. Chair.
Did I miss proclamation? I'm sorry.
Number 3.
Oh, consider approval proclamation designating May as Mental Health Awareness Month. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are here to present to you in recognition of May as Mental Health Awareness Month. We would like to provide information about the significance of mental health and the valuable mental health services provided within Sherburne County. I will start by reading the proclamation, and then we will do some presenting of other information. Whereas addressing the complex mental health needs of adults, children, youth, and families today is fundamental to building the health, resilience, and future of Minnesota. And whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall physical health and emotional well-being, and whereas mental illness will strike 1 in 5 persons in a given year, regardless of age, gender, race, ethnicity, religion, or economic status. Whereas people who have mental illness can recover and lead full, productive lives, and whereas the need for comprehensive, coordinated mental health services for children, youth, and families places upon our community a critical responsibility. And whereas untreated or undertreated mental illness costs public and private employers billions of dollars annually through absenteeism, turnover, low productivity, and increased medical costs. Whereas the guiding principles of community mental health care have always been comprehensive care, cost efficiency, effective management, high-quality treatment, consumer responsive services. And whereas community-based services that respond to individual and family needs are cost-effective and beneficial to consumers and the community. And whereas mental health services support not only the individuals who live with a mental illness, but also are beneficial to their families, friends, and community at large by decreasing homelessness, hospitalizations, and criminalization of the mentally ill, all of which impose a significant emotional, mental, and financial cost to our community. Whereas Sherburne County in its policy and planning roles supports effectively caring for the mental health needs of adults, children, youth, and families in our community. Now, therefore, the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Sherburne County and call upon all citizens, community agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit our community to increase their awareness and understanding of mental illness and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illness.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval of the proclamation.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
And if you want to vote now, just to note that we do have staff to do a short presentation as part of this, so you can do it before your vote or after your vote, so whatever you prefer.
Chair's prerogative.
Huh?
Chair's prerogative.
Yeah, why don't we just approve it and then we'll do this presentation? Is that fine? Or vote for at least to approve it. Okay, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. And then on to our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Victoria Johannes, and I am the supervisor of the Behavioral Health and Protection Unit here at Sherburne County. And I would like to introduce Leslie Young, clinical supervisor and trainer, Logan Johnson Strandyard, children's mental health supervisor, and Derek Maygard, supervisor of the Hope Unit. And we will get started with Derek.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Derek Maygard, supervisor of our Hope Unit, as Victoria stated. I just wanted to provide a few stats that we got from the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, and also the 2023 Central Minnesota Community Health Survey. 38% of Sherburne County residents were told by a health professional that they have depression. 36% of Sherburne County residents were told by a health professional that they have anxiety and/or panic attacks. 10% of Sherburne County residents were told by a health professional they have post-traumatic stress disorder. 21% of Sherburne County residents were told by a health professional they have another mental health concern. 41% of Sherburne County residents feel it is a serious problem when asked how much of a problem is difficulty obtaining mental health services for adults. The average delay between onset of mental illness symptoms and treatment is 11 years, and 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year, and only half of them received treatment. A brief little nugget about the HOPE team, which I supervise. This unit was formed October 1st of 2023 in Health and Human Services, so our newest unit. HOPE is an acronym for Housing, Outreach, Pre-Petition, and Engagement. The HOPE unit combined housing services, outreach services, and civil commitments into a new unit. The HOPE unit is comprised of 2 housing social workers, 2 civil commitment social workers, 2 jail social workers, and a pointer case aide. Sherburne County received 52 requests for civil commitment in 2023. Commitment requests come from hospital petitions to HHS because a patient is found to be a threat to harm self or others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. As stated, I'm Logan Strander, and I supervise the Children's Mental Health Unit, also referred to as CMH. Last May, I highlighted a real-life story on how we served a youth in CMH and highlighted the barriers the family faced in securing services. This year, I'm going to highlight the services CMH provides to the community. In total, we have 13 full-time social workers on the unit who have a variety of roles. 4 of these social workers are truancy intervention specialists. They are assigned to specific school areas to build relationships. They provide a 3-step truancy intervention process. At the heart of this is the wraparound meeting they facilitate at the school with all the members involved to discuss what's leading up to the truant behavior, generate next steps, and how the team can help support the plan. Next, we have 3 social workers who provide motivational interviewing informed wraparound, also referred to as MeWrap. This combines the style and skills of motivational interviewing with the structure of the wraparound process. MeWrap facilitators guide families through phases and activities to develop a family vision, an individualized plan of care, and a team to help support and implement. Wraparound process ends when the family feels more stable and believe they can continue the work on their goals on their own. Next, we have 5 social workers who provide traditional children's mental health case management and have the additional responsibility of responding to youth that have been cited for runaways in the community. These workers bring youth and families through the process of initial assessment, planning, referral, linkage, monitoring, all leading up to case closure. Lastly, we have 1 social worker with a split role with providing CMH and post-permanency case management. We have noticed a pattern of youth who have entered the child welfare system who have been adopted or had a transfer of custody to another caregiver and then have re-entered the system years later, typically requesting CMH services and needing deep end services or costly out-of-home placements. This role is designed to voluntarily track with families before and after the change of custody and provide ongoing case management services to assist in keeping families together, safe, and stable. These are the services that we provide. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Leslie Young, Clinical Supervisor and Trainer here. We stand before you today with a profound sense of purpose during Mental Health Awareness Month. It's an honor to represent a countywide initiative that embodies the essence of unity and resilience, STIR, Stronger Together, Inspiring Resilience. Comprising over 50 agencies and hundreds of individuals across Sherburne County, STIR is a beacon of hope, promoting healing, inspiring resilience, fostering social connections, and celebrating the holistic well-being of every individual, mind, body, and spirit. Recently, we've achieved a significant milestone in our journey towards collective well-being. Through collaborative efforts and the generosity of our community, we've partnered with Move Mindfully. This is an agency dedicated to equipping individuals with evidence-based practices to alleviate stress held within the body. The simplicity yet effectiveness of Move Mindfully's Breathe, Move, Rest practices resonated deeply with STIR, particularly given the alarming levels of burnout and stress prevalent among our teams, coworkers, and the individuals we serve. In today's fast-paced world, the demands of life have surged, leading to heightened levels of pressure, overwhelm, and disconnection. Both youth and adults are grappling with an urgent need for enhanced physical, mental, and emotional support to truly thrive. Recognizing that many organizations within our community lack accessible tools and resources to address these pressing needs, it became imperative for us to work at the systemic level to effect sustainable change. Through our collaboration with Move Mindfully, we've facilitated 3 two-hour sessions right here in our community, laying the foundation for a continuum of care. This partnership symbolizes a proactive step towards addressing mental health needs collectively and comprehensively. We extend our gratitude to the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners for providing us with this opportunity to share this remarkable example of our community resilience and unity. Together, we're breaking down barriers, fostering a culture of care, and paving the way for a brighter, more resilient future for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to share with you a bit about the adult mental health services that are provided in the Behavioral Health and Protection Unit. Services are provided on a voluntary basis to support individuals with serious and persistent mental illness, such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, and major depressive disorder. Currently, in our unit, we are serving individuals from age 18 through their late 70s. Referrals to this voluntary service come from the Children's Mental Health Unit, where individuals are aging out of services, through the Hope Unit, from individuals involved with civil commitments or outreach services, from mental health professionals in the community, and from self-referral, when an individual identifies for themselves that they would like to participate in services. Of those individuals that we served in 2023, 33%, fully 1/3 of our clients, were just 18 to 24 years old. And there were 77 incidents in which mental health symptoms required inpatient hospitalization. Our purpose is to help individuals access mental health services, such as psychiatry, various outpatient therapy, and inpatient therapy services. We help them remove barriers to access other supports and services and basic needs, such as transportation, housing, overcoming food insecurity, health insurance, financial benefits, employment, and applying for Social Security benefits as appropriate. We help support their mental health stability by getting them involved in community activities, recreational activities, educational and health services, and vocational training and employment placement. And lastly, we would like to share with you about the local advisory council. Each county in the state is required by statute to have an adult mental health local advisory council, which exists to discuss, review, and improve the local service delivery system. LAC, Local Advisory Council, LAC members represent a broad range of community interests and are required to meet at least quarterly to review, evaluate, and make recommendations regarding the local mental health system. And to talk more about the LAC, I'd like to introduce one of our community advocates who is actively involved in our LAC, Eric Wiedewich.
Thank you, Victoria. And good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
As Victoria said, I represent, excuse me, Sherburne County LASC, our local advisory council. Our local advisory council has identified the following needs as priorities. Non-medical transportation opportunities for social community involvement, increasing attendance at our LAC meetings by community advocates and service providers. Transportation continues to be the primary identified challenge discussed when we transport friends and family. Ride sharing, Uber or Lyft, TriCap, support from county worker. Attendance has greatly increased with both providers excuse me, and community advocates may even need a larger room. So our LAC meets every other month, and we have meetings, her individuals who access mental health services and providers, both mental health and vocational, as well as staff from county adult mental health. And I'd like to just add real quick that one thing that we provided there was if you have a financial county worker, you get a stipend. And that for me, that's personally, that has helped me a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Eric has been a longtime participant in our LAC meetings, and we greatly appreciate his input into everything we do. We are going to be having our first ever LAC meet and greet this Thursday, May 9th, from 11:30 to 1:30 at the New Furniture and Things Event Center. Eric has been integral in helping to plan that event. It's open to the public, and we invite anyone to attend that event. We also really hope to see as many individuals with mental health issues as possible, as well as their family members. We're going to have numerous mental health providers and community resources that will have tables to share information at the event, and we're even lucky enough to have some therapy dogs who are going to be there to meet our consumers as well as members of the public. Refreshments, activities, and door prizes will be provided to help build connections for those in attendance and to learn about area resources. In Sherburne County, we have an integrated system of county and community-based providers and community members who are driven to ensure that our mental health system is robust, collaborative, and dedicated to make a difference for those who experience the range of mental health symptoms from mild to severe. We are grateful for your support to be an integral part of this community that is formally and informally invested in mental health awareness, supports, and services. Thank you for your time this morning and for your investment in prevention and intervention efforts for mental health. Any questions or comments?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I did have one question. What time did you say that was going to happen on the 9th of Victoria?
This Thursday, the 9th, from 11:30 to 1:30. It'll be open house style.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, I don't have any questions, just really want to thank you for the presentation, just recognizing we all have mental health. And I appreciate every step and every method that we use to help people's mental health be healthier, both as individuals and our community. So thankful for you.
Yeah, I think I'd like to add too that there's not enough thanks to go around for what you guys do in regards to the mental health issue. And we know it was just Mental Health Awareness Week or for month or for May, but I think it's all year long process. So thank you very much for your work.
Thank you, too, for all the work you do. It is so needed, and I cannot agree more with the barrier to transportation is a huge barrier in Sherburne County, and hopefully we're going to work to get that resolved, but we hear what you're saying in regards to transportation needs, and thank you so much.
Okay, yes, thank you very much for the work that you do. We can't overstress the importance of the work that you guys are doing, and we appreciate it. If that's it, I think we've passed the resolution, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Now, we are on to consider the approval of an interim use permit for a 1 megawatt solar farm, replacing permit number 69388-MNCSG 2019-33. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is known as Solar Farm MNCSG 2019-33 LLC. It's the Golly property. They are located in Clear Lake Township in the Ag District. Planning Commission recommended approval with the 19 conditions and the findings of fact that are in your packet.
At this point, we'd entertain a motion to approve it.
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Gray,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Phobie. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, just a question. That's once again not specific to this, but we talked about last time we had a solar project come up. I mentioned I'm a little concerned just with the solar projects in general. We've got the bonding requirement for decommissioning. I just want to know, would like to know what the process is. We talked about perhaps we need to have something in place if there is damage to the solar farm, whether it's some sort of insurance requirement, whether it's an additional bonding requirement, whatever. Just because I'm concerned about if an event comes through and damages the farm, that it doesn't. The way I read the bonding requirement, it really doesn't kick in for a period of 2 years, which I feel like is too long for a damaged set of devices to sit in the field. So what would be the process for taking a look at modifying those requirements to also have something required for if the system gets damaged?
And so staff met on this last Thursday. Friday, letters went out to every solar company in the county that we have permitted, requesting to update all of the insurance certificates to make sure we know how much pollution they have on every one of them, and getting all of that information. Staff is going to be putting something together for you, and we are hoping to participate in a workshop in the next couple of months and provide you with the information that we've gathered.
That's perfect. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, this is a permit that has previously been issued. It just timed out and it needs to be reinstated.
This one, I believe, I've got so many of these, it's hard to keep track of them all. But I believe this one is already built. They wanted to, no, this is the one that, you're correct. It did time out and they redid it. The other one is a different issue. Sorry.
All right.
You're correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. And then we are on to consider approval of interim use permit for a 1 megawatt solar farm replacing permit 74251-MN-CSG 2019-67.
And this is on the Monk property on 18.4 acres in Clear Lake Township. This is in the Ag District and in the Orderly Annexation Zone 3 with the City of Clear Lake. Planning Commission recommended approval with the 20 conditions and the findings of fact.
Thank you. At this point, I entertain a motion.
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Gray,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Danlowski. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. And then we are on to consider approval of a conditional use permit for farm-related business.
And this is for Corrine Pearson, Daniel and Corrine Pearson trustees. And this is at 9241 100th Avenue in Clear Lake Township. This is on 45 acres in the Agricultural District. Planning Commission recommended approval with the 10 conditions and the findings of fact in your packet.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion at this point.
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Gray,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Danlowski. Any further discussion?
Just one thing, this is a perfect relocation from Anoka to the location it's going to. This will be a tremendous asset to the county, I think, in what they're gonna do, so I think this is a great move.
Anyone else? Yeah, I gotta say, I was pretty excited when I'm sad that you had to give up your previous property, that things aren't working out, but I was really excited that you guys chose Sherburne County as a place to move your business to, because I think you got a really good thing going there, so thank you very much. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Next would be consider approval of an interim use permit for a home business and an accessory building.
And this is a salon for Zach Kurth. Property owners are Zachary and Krista Kurth. This is 17454 253rd Avenue in Big Lake in Orrock Township on 20 acres in the General Rural District. Planning Commission recommended approval with the 9 conditions and the findings of fact.
Thank you. At this point, we'd entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chair, before we do approval, I do think I would have a modification to one of the terms. So
Okay.
I don't know what the right procedure is for that. But
It would be to have a motion and a second, and then open it for discussion. You can discuss it, and then you could choose to amend. How am I doing, Cassie? Here?
I'm going to beg to differ with our county
Okay,
administrator.
go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Perfectly fine.
Because the motion, if you're going to change a condition, you can put that in the motion and then it could be seconded. Or the alternative, which is what our county administrator said, which is a little bit longer, and they say they pay us for the per word, is that you could do a motion as is and then move to amend the motion, vote on the amendment, and then vote on the motion. But I would suggest that perhaps you do the first alternative.
I think we'll do that then. So,
Yeah, so I'm trying to find the specific line. One of the conditions is to meet building code requirements, correct?
Yes.
Because this is a salon, there are additional building requirements associated with the cosmetology board. I would just like to add, meet all building code and cosmetology board requirements. It's a little bit redundant because you have to meet those requirements in order to get your salon permit anyway, but I would just like all of the requirements to be aligned.
So we could add that on to condition number 6, that they must also meet all cosmetology requirements.
Cosmetology board requirements, correct.
Cosmetology board requirements.
which the rest of us don't know anything about, but.
And is the
This is why it's great to have people with a diverse background on the board, because, you know, we can get more details that way.
And I just want to check to make sure the applicant is okay with that change.
Yeah, it's already difficult.
Okay.
To those specs.
Okay, great. I would assume that, so, but no assumptions.
Okay, so then, I would entertain a motion to accept the amended interim use permit.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Holtz.
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Second by Commissioner Danlowski. We've already had discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You bet.
Looks like a great space.
Huh?
Looks like a great space.
Yeah. It's going to be cool out there in the woods.
Yes, great.
Next, we would consider approval of amendments to the score line item program budget.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, good morning. I would just like to take a second to introduce our newest employee, Maureen Mosick, environmental specialist. You guys will be seeing a lot more of her.
Thank you.
Let's get right into it. County staff and Solid Waste Advisory Committee are recommending amendments to the score line item budget to allow for two different things. 2 source-separated organics grant programs, one targeting schools and the other institutional organizations, such as assisted living facilities, hospitals, jails, etc. The second being reserve funding for the 4 municipal yard waste sites in anticipation of the emerald ash borer infestation. Additionally, 2 separate grant applications were received, and the committee is recommending that we fund both. The first for the City of St. Cloud's residential yard waste collection, and the second for Crystal Cabinets Works for a steel can paint crusher so they can recycle those. Any questions or comments on that?
Do you have any questions? I guess then at this point, we would entertain a motion to approve the score line item program budget changes.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Danlowski makes the motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Philby seconds. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just want to comment, we went over this in detail at the last Solid Waste Committee meeting, all of these programs. I think we're in pretty good shape. The organic waste program, I think the idea there is that we're going to set up a program, pilot it, and figure out how to expand that out. That could have a significant impact on the amount of waste going into the landfill, and then the other grant applications were well in line with what we wanted to do. So I'm in favor.
Yeah, I really like the scan crusher idea. That's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of stuff. So, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to receive the Rum River One Watershed, One Plan fiscal year 2023 update.
Dan, would you rather have a table and sit, or are you okay at the podium?
Oh, I'm good up here, thank you.
You sure? Okay.
Yep. I won't take that long, I promise. We actually have 2 things to cover today. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. First, with this report, we're going to take a step back in time to look at 2023 and some of the accomplishments that occurred. And then we'll take a step forward and look at fiscal year 25 for the draft budget that was included in your packet. The annual report from 2023 you should have received looks a little something like this. This is, it covers the partnership's activities for this past year. I'm sorry, Keisha, yeah, that's a little bit out of order, what I'm doing today. Yes, there we are. So again, this is this Rum River Watershed partnership consists of a number of partners. The watershed stretches all the way from Lake Mille Lacs down to where the Rum River spills into the Mississippi in the city of Anoka. So a large area geographically, and this partnership is working under a 10-year comprehensive watershed management plan, which is governed by a joint powers board, of which Commissioner Hulse sits on as the primary representative from Sherburne County. This report outlines activities that took place in 2023. So this partnership receives a little over $1 million every other year to carry out activities prescribed within the comp plan. I'll just highlight a couple things on this report. First, at the top where you see goal progress in a series of green and tan colored charts. The plan is structured such that we have priority issues, such as the quality of our lakes, might be an example issue. We have goals pertaining to those issues, measurable outcomes, and then actions. We have 9 priority issues, 14 goals, 22 outcomes, and then 148 individual actions. Working our way backwards, if we complete all of those specific actions, we will reach our measurable outcomes, in turn also reach our goals which pertain to our priority issues. And so we've made some good progress in year 1 of this plan. 6 of 9 priority issues have had some level of progress upon them, all the way down to the opposite end. 27 of 148 individual conservation actions have had some level of progress. We believe at this time we're on track. 15% of those actions have at least 10% of progress made, and we are 10% completed with the plan. So a lot of fun things happening. The report also covers some metrics as far as the different types of projects that have taken place, some pollutant reductions as well. On page 2, you can see some of the activities that have occurred by management zone. So we have split the watershed up into different management zones because there are very different land types and uses, you can imagine, within this watershed. The largely forested areas around Mille Lacs Lake, all the way down to the very heavily urbanized areas within Anoka County. And then finally on page 3, here's a project gallery, and then a large component of this plan, as some of you might know, includes outreach, the outreach component. Early on in this planning process, my partners from Mille Lacs County and Isani County really stressed the need for outreach to make any progress on this plan. So connecting with landowners, connecting with different conservation groups within the watershed, they felt that there was a lot of work in that regard that needed to occur in order to start doing things on the landscape. Again, we work with willing landowners on a voluntary basis to do much of that work. So many handshakes occur before a project actually takes place. I'll pause for just a moment if there's any questions on that 2023 summary report.
Looks good.
Yeah, if not, then we'll fast forward to fiscal year 25. Now, the Joint Powers Board ultimately will decide in June on a draft watershed-based implementation funds budget that we've put together. Here's a work plan that's in draft form that outlines the activities that we will do and then the budget that will support that. As far as what we are anticipating for this next round of watershed-based funds, on the next page, Keisha, there's a table that I think outlines things really well. So within that plan, we have different levels, level A, B, and C, indicating prioritizing the work that we do. And so this really outlines very well, what type of work will be completed with those funds in the FY25 budget. So again, outreach and engagement is a large component of this watershed group. And so we do have a full-time staff equivalent that is dedicated to meeting with landowners, engaging with those conservation groups, Pheasants Forever, deer hunters groups, agricultural interests, and really making those connections that are going to allow us to put more conservation on the land. Level A items also include surface water restoration protection, and then level B, groundwater and drinking water quality. So that's the nuts and bolts of what kind of activities we would complete, a little bit more text there in that report. And then on the last page, there's some pie charts. The first one, which is rather small, I understand. I will make a request to our project coordinator to make those pie charts a little bit bigger. So the first one is looking at fiscal year 23, that allocation that we received, and then the anticipated fiscal year 25, which is in draft form, of course. As I mentioned earlier, the Joint Powers Board ultimately will make comments and consider the fiscal 25 budget. The intent of right now this presentation is just to give, all of the partners are giving their county and soil and water boards a courtesy review. We have a 45-day courtesy review period. So if there are some comments that this board has, you can feel free to contact me. You can contact Andrew. Andrew can pass those comments along to the Joint Powers Board. Okay. Are there any questions on the fiscal year 25 budget?
Any questions from anyone?
No question. Just want to comment on because obviously we've got the Rum River watershed project, and then following on, probably 2 years behind, is the Mississippi project, Mississippi watershed. And what I will say, I have found the discipline around these projects to be very good, because you have to go through and you have to specify metrics, specific goals, and achieve those goals in order to get the funding from Bowser. Yeah. And so it's a very robust program with very strong results to clean up some of the issues that we've had in both watersheds. So well done.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, I'm really looking forward also to when the Mississippi has a similar plan, that plan goes into effect, because I really like how this works. It just protects that incredibly important resource, which is our water. So any further discussion?
I don't. Thanks for the update. I kind of miss you guys.
Stop by anytime.
I'm just always impressed with the working partnership between Isanti, Mille Lacs County, Sherburne, and Anoka with this Rum River. They really have a solid base, and that shows in the work that's getting done. So thanks for all those efforts.
Yeah, and I don't think the public really sees what they do for the environment, and I think that's, they're behind the scenes more so, but their work is incredibly important to what we're doing, and like Greg says, water.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the part that makes it successful is they work in partnership with everybody along the way that lives along those waterways as well.
Yep.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Thanks, Dan and staff.
So the next item would be consider approval of Caseworks for electronic document management system, EDMS, and HHS.
So this is your test for today, EDMS, if you can figure it out. But I'm going to give a little bit of background, since Amanda's going to go into the details here. But how long ago, Amanda?
Well, don't steal my thunder. My first slide is a timeline.
Oh, you did? Okay, well then I'll just say, back in the day, we started looking at a replacement system for the electronic data management system of Health and Human Services, and did a pretty full vetting, and ended up shortlisting 3 different software systems, and ultimately took a pretty serious look at one offered by Google, and the company was at the time AODocs, and we spent about a year trying to implement that particular solution, and to be honest, it failed miserably. Part of it was not an existing product. It was being developed, it was being promised to being developed, and it just never came to fruition. So ultimately, we terminated our partnership, and we've been limping along for the last year and a half, 2 years, until we've gotten to this point, and Amanda will get into the greater details. The good thing is this Caseworks is proven system. The other impetus why we're bringing it to you today is because the state of Minnesota is migrating towards Caseworks as well. So We feel like it's a little safer than being a leader in development of software. But more importantly, as my mandate to Amanda is that she take a look at how this can be cost effective for the organization. So those were kind of the background and the objectives of bringing this to today. And with that, Amanda, I'll let you jump in.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Like Bruce said, I'm here before you to request an enterprise-wide technology solution for most of health and human services, public health excluded, but it would be for all of our social service units, all of our economic supports units, income maintenance, healthcare, child support, accounting, and then obviously clerical is kind of the feeder system. Bruce stole my thunder, but the timeline, it is a long road to get here, and technology is not my forte, and so I certainly don't want to just embark on a technology project. Personally, I have a little PTSD from the whole Google thing. But in January 2021, we were informed by Northwoods, which is our social service electronic file system, that they were going to end of life the current product. They were replacing it with a new product line within their department, and it was going to be a 3-year cost of ownership for $800,000. That shell-shocked us a little, and so we were like, so like any other responsible, fiscally responsible department, we kind of said, okay, fine, but we're going to see what else is out there. And so we did some bids for replacement solutions. So we did entertain Caseworks, Google, OnBase, as well as taking into account Northwoods, their current product. In July of 2021, we received authorization from this board to proceed with Google. It's Google after all, and so they could do it all, right? And they were the lowest cost solution at that time. And also we were pretty excited that they were able to, that they said they were able to do a customizable solution to meet our specific process flow. We were excited at the possibilities because there was interoperability, which is huge. We have so many disparate systems. And after trying to put a square peg in a round hole, it just didn't work. And so we then cut our losses and we did terminate the Google contract. Again, PTSD, so now we are currently working with an unsupported solution from Northwoods. We are still using Copilot. It has not been supported for 2 years. And so we have done probably every workaround, Band-Aid fix possible to make it work for us, but it has been riddled with inefficiencies. Folks keep coming to me saying, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working, and I kind of put my head in the sand. I'm like, I can't go to the board and asking for something. And then, like I said, I think the catalyst was that the state has really started to modify some of their existing practices toward Caseworks, which, you know, it'd be great if the statewide could ever come out with a statewide electronic document management system. This is the closest they've come. So just real quick, why a new one? These are staff words in terms of quantifying the inefficiencies with our current process. Clerical is the feeder for all of the paperwork coming in. We have OnBase, which is our electronic document management system for all of our economic supports programs. And then Compass, it's Compass Northwoods, for all of our social service systems. They often experience delays, issues, error codes. There's idleness, it's that spinning circle of death. The system can't catch up to what we're processing because we're using the system inappropriately with Band-Aid fixes, and so systems will time out, close, and then we're back to the drawing board. Also, in terms of the amount of paperwork our clerical gets, they have to electronically file it, and so it's a one page. You can't cluster all the documents together, and then they're having to go under this case and then this type of document, and it's not the same between our social service and our income maintenance. And so a lot of times it takes 1 year to train a clerical staff, and there's very high turnover with clerical staff because they first get trained on economic supports, scanning, and then about 6 months then social service scanning. Systems freeze, they restart, all the issues impose delays, redundancy, and a lot of times they end up having to scan the same document multiple times. Again, we just are on the heels of our 2023 annual report, and clerical has been tracking their time. 50%, 49% technically, of all of their time is spent scanning documents coming into the agency. 13% of their time is spent on forms creation, which you'll see here Caseworks does. That's from our clerical. This is from our social service. So Compass Pilot is supposed to be a solution that's a mobile solution. If staff don't have internet connectivity into the fields, it's not usable. So then they have to save it to their laptop, and then they have to upload it when they get back into our document. Again, trying to figure out all these workarounds to be able to do our work. The workarounds are unreliable and inefficient. It's resulted in a lot of staff time doing duplicate work in order to complete necessary case plans. It also lacks modern efficiencies like a drag and drop, spell check, forms that have expandable fields. We're having to put all of our words into one text box. Dynamic. It doesn't have interoperability with Adobe Sign, which now we have moved to as a county, and then the search functions. So we have been hearing this same story for some time. We've engaged with IT extensively to troubleshoot. And like I said, I have PTSD from Google. 87 counties have 87 EDMS systems, electronic document management systems. And so really the state has started to move toward Caseworks for some of their new programs. Why has the state moved toward Caseworks? Probably because 57 out of 87 counties are using it. They have social service modules. They have economic supports modules. They have accounting modules. And so really they've been the business leader in terms of efficiency and interoperability. When we looked at Caseworks 4 years ago, about 30 counties were using it. So again, that just shows the tremendous growth. Most recent is St. Louis County is finishing up, and then also Ramsey County has just started. So, which again is telling, because if migration from one solution works for Kitson County as well as it does for Ramsey County, I think that just speaks to Caseworks working with all sizes of counties. So why Caseworks? As I said, with Google, we got distracted by the bright, shiny penny because it was customization. With Caseworks, there's no customization. The state really doesn't allow for customization, and so really Caseworks is owned by member counties. So it doesn't do customization for county, which really eliminates ongoing costs, the nickel and diming that we've seen with some of our products. They have a user group, and they prioritize their needs within that user group. So really legislative changes, forms that are coming down from the state, anything that's coming down from the state, that user group says that's what we need. And so then it's done for all, which we thought was a downfall, and now in hindsight we're like, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Worker testimonials. So we have had a history of stealing good workers from other counties, and because most other counties are using Caseworks, they come here to our band-aided solution. They're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So just asking some social workers to say, okay, why Caseworks? When filing into Caseworks, everything goes into the case instead of the person, so it's easier to find. Grouping, that's easier to find. You can print right to Caseworks instead of saving it to your computer and then uploading. You can look at previous cases tied. It has drag and drops. It has expandable fields. It's dynamic. It has interoperability. You can actually search to find which document you're looking for. Taxonomy, that's the fancy name for kind of the grouping system within all of the forms. It's hard to look back at past documents currently without opening every single document because the search functionality isn't there like it is in Caseworks. We can't edit documents. We can't merge two different documents together. It's clunky to upload things. It's hard to find things. We can't add things. The mobility issues. Copilot only works with an iPad. iPads have now been retired. So people have 2-in-1 laptops. So rather than having 2 devices, they have only 1 device. But again, they have to upload items before they can. If they need a form out in the field and they don't have internet, they can't get that. And so really, it's clunky in multiple ways. So going back, Caseworks gave us a 5-year cost of ownership. They did take into account, you know, that we have various reimbursement levels depending on what part of the agency that lives in. So taking into account all of our reimbursements, it came at a 5-year cost of ownership of $1.5 million, which then again makes me want to put my head in the sand and say, can't do this. So Bruce said, find the money. And so we're gonna find the money. So I've spent the last several weeks finding the money. So we're gonna just assume that year 1 would be 2024, the current year, year 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the cost breakdowns after our reimbursement levels for each cost. Year 1, this year, we would need to have dual systems. We still need to work in our current system while doing discovery and integrating a new system. So year 1 is going to be the largest cost. You know that we had received some healthcare unwinding dollars from the state. Those are one-time dollars. And so really we would use $200,000 of that $500,000 of healthcare unwinding because this would directly impact all the forms that are coming through our METS program. ARPA is kind of a game changer. We don't know what's coming, what's going, but we've had some underspending within HHS, and Dan had said that he would probably have $75,000 worth of ARPA money to help us with the first year expenses. So it does come with a cost, and I'll go into the bottom numbers afterwards. It does come with a cost for year 1. Year 2, we would lose Compass, and so Compass Copilot is our mobile solution for social services. We also have Compass, which is our child support program. And so then year 2, theoretically, Caseworks would be operational. So then we would lose that expense of Compass. And then also, and you'll see that in the 4 years. OnBase, this is not my wheelhouse, but I think our contract with OnBase ends in 2026, and so we pay HHS's portion of the OnBase, which is our back-end storage for all of our economic supports programs, is about $60,000. So you'll see year 3, 4, and 5, we lose that. I told you staffing, 50% of what our office assistants do right now is scanning with Caseworks. It's a barcode. So you scan the barcode, and the system, the paper gets automatically uploaded exactly where it should be. That's going to save a lot of time, so much that we will repurpose an office assistant with the purchase of this technology solution. The numbers at the bottom aren't funny math, but really they're real costs. As I said, we are using an unsupported solution right now. We know that that was not a long-term fix, and so it's hard to account for costs that we used to have with Copilot because we're not paying those costs because we're using an unsupported product. And so down in the very bottom, additional payments. So I really took what we had paid to OnBase and as over and above costs. So for everything that we needed to fix on our base from 2019 to 2024 was $142,000. For Northwoods.
Keisha, can you scroll up a little bit so we can see that?
See that?
As far as it goes.
Sorry.
Okay.
It should be on your screen, isn't it? Did it not?
Kinda
Sorry.
Just kind of.
Apologies.
The bottom.
OnBase from 2019 to 2024 was $142,000, $857 that we paid. And again, those are for fixes or things that broke on our end that we needed to then contract with Data Bank to fix in our OnBase system. Northwood's cost that we paid from 2017 to 2023 was $319,000, $320. And so again, different over and above costs that we need to pay to support the solution. So that's a 5-year average of $92,000. We also had paid, I believe, the first year for Northwood's Copilot $419. So all these costs add up, and so really I just took the ongoing over and above costs of on-base in Northwoods for the 5-year period of time, which was an average of about $92,000 a year. So as I said, with Caseworks, it's a member-owned, so there's no nickel and diming. There's no over and above cost, because what they do for one county, they do for all counties. They don't do any specific projects for individual counties. So that is what my ask is here today. We haven't gotten contracts or anything, but we have been doing reference checks with other counties that are using Casework. So we're doing our due diligence. We've done our due diligence. We're making sure that it can work for our process flows. For social services, it's pretty easy, but I think our economic supports folks have had 4 to 5 demos to make sure that their solution can work for our internal process flows, which it can. And like I said, all of the things going on with the MCCC right now, customer portals, all the movement is going toward Caseworks, and so it makes sense at this time for us to move. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Yeah, just a couple things. One, my first comment was, when I saw this on the agenda, was no customizations. So as long as that's already met my first requirement for any new software system, because customizations will kill any implementation. I get what you're doing with the math down there. Basically, it's cost avoidance of real dollars that you've paid out for the existing solutions above and beyond your normal. So it's a cost avoidance of real dollars paid. So I get what you're doing with that math. What I'm concerned about with an implementation of this size, you need to have an excellent implementation plan. So before before we move forward, we need to make sure that you've got a team in place, an implementation team in place, because software implementations are never easy, and there's always going to be something that's going to be unexpected. So don't plan on it going smoothly. So my concern is just make sure that we've got super users in place, training in place, all the things in place to make sure that as we're doing this implementation, you can train the whole staff, have internal support inside of HHS, so when people have questions, because they're going to have questions. And then the third piece is, I heard, will it work for our existing processes? Be prepared to change processes. If we're going to use an off-the-shelf solution with no customization, by definition, processes are going to have to change. So we need to be open to changing those processes to work with the software, not the other way around. So just be prepared with that.
With respect to the implementation team, and we didn't go into the details, but and you notice Tony's got PTSD sitting there, but he is doing the head nod. We have a pretty developed team from our failed effort that will resurrect that. And what I'll do is just do a follow-up with the board so you understand who's on it. It's obviously IT and Amanda's leadership, but then she's got the super users. Tony, who else was on your team before? Do you remember?
I think each unit has a super user identified that they get trained first.
And then obviously that'll be a condition with Caseworks before we'd enter into a contract, and is that they provide it. And that was something we learned regrettably. And part of the problem with the previous implementation effort was there were 3 parties involved.
Yeah.
So then we got a lot of finger pointing. Well, it's so-and-so's fault and so-and-so's fault. The other benefit we have is several counties have already implemented this, so we can learn from them.
Yep.
Your last point's the most important one, and I have confidence here. I'll be honest, we've had an implementation software process where we didn't do essentially a lean event with it, and we tried to customize it to death, and it's actually created more difficulty than I think had we changed our business processes. And I think that didn't happen in HHS, so I'm assuming Amanda will be very amenable to looking at that.
Well, and I'll tell you right now, we're very open to it because our business processes have been dictated now by all the workarounds and all the process flows. And so anything we do will be more efficient. And so I think we're very open.
Yeah. 2 more questions. Did you guys do a lessons learned on the failed implementation?
Yes, but it's not a publicly consumable document.
That's fair, but I just want to make sure internally that you've,
We had
gone through it with a
after
critical eye, and, because that's also going to point you toward the pitfalls that could potentially happen with this, right?
Yeah.
The other piece is, do you have a dedicated project lead?
We have a project team. I don't know if have you dedicated a lead yet?
Well, yeah, our planner and then also Leslie, who is here, so we do have leads, probably 3 different.
Well, I would, so just as a recommendation, someone needs to be on point, that's dedicated to making sure this implementation goes through and pulls all of the various parts and people together. And they need to have the time to be able to dedicate to do that. That, from my experience, is one of the most important things you can do on a software implementation. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, that was one of our challenges last time is really we were doing software development while we were doing our existing jobs, while we were also trying to implement. Is that fair, Tony? Yeah, and that's why we want to shed the development side. This isn't, something we just saw, you obviously saw Lynn do a really successful development because we had a dedicated team to do that in-house, and we just don't have that here, and the software is super complex. I would just note for you, this software actually was developed by Scott County internally, and then they sold the rights to the product to Caseworks, who then developed it. So how many counties now use it?
55, 57?
Yeah, so we're going to lean heavily on some of them that are using it. But your points are really well taken. And as far as the after action, if you want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, just let me know, and we'll have a after hours libation to make it work better. It was a lesson learned, but I have to be honest, it was costly in terms of staff time, costly in terms of morale. It was costly in terms of organization. We probably invested $100,000 in a year's effort.
Well, and the reason I bring that up is people don't like doing those lessons learned because you're revisiting painful memories. But they're really important to be honest as an organization on what really went wrong and what we can learn from it. Not all of it's going to apply, especially if you're not doing development, but it's really important to just avoid future pitfalls as well, because it's still, software implementation is still hard, no matter how off the shelf it is.
Yeah.
We will phase this out too in terms of not doing the entire organization all at once. And so I think we'll probably start with our we'll be looking for Caseworks recommendations, but we'll likely start with our social services and then move to our economics.
Mr. Philby, you had something?
Thank you. I appreciate Commissioner Hals's insight in this. This isn't my wheelhouse at all, but I'm grateful, and I hear how much you put into this. I mean, this has not been easy. So I almost want to apologize a little bit for the Google, because I was part of that decision. So thank you for all the work in this. When I see that 57 counties are using it, I think we need to lean into some of those. That's data right there of good, bad, and ugly from them, but also Caseworks. I mean, this isn't their first rodeo with it with a county. So I'm hoping part of those, all of implementation can come directly from Caseworks. So, but thanks for all the work on this. I hear the exhaustion, and the timeline just is exhausting, so.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, if you're going to consider this, since we have not gone through the contractual process, I would ask that you make it contingent upon the county attorney's review.
Yeah, I kind of agree that this change is always difficult, but from a personal level, if you see the amount of paperwork that every individual garners in this, which I have, and I think this is way overdue. To make it more simple for the staff and people and the efficiencies that are out there, I think this is a no-brainer for us.
Mr. Chair, I concur with everybody's comments on that. And when I see the 57 counties are using it, and I think that number is going to grow, and especially when you comment that the state is starting to use it as well, I think we're all going in the right direction. So, Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion then to approve proceeding with the formal selection and acquisition of Caseworks for an EDM system for the HHS department with preparation and presentation of a contract to the county board with the approval of the county attorney.
One clarification. Would we want to also see the implementation plan?
We can actually make that part of, everything is contingent upon us bringing back a contract, so Kathy's review will happen as part of that. And if you want, we'll just put it as part of the background for the material.
I would like to see an implementation plan. So I would like a friendly amendment to your motion to also include a review of the implementation plan.
I'm fine with that.
With that
We
being,
have-
I'll second.
Second? Okay.
We have the motion and the second. We've already had plenty of discussion. I hate paying for technology, but I recognize that it's necessary. Mostly because I don't understand it, but that's, so all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, none. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Amanda.
A lot of work.
Tony and company.
Yep.
Thank you.
Let's move on to considering approval of the county's submission of the 2024 Community Energy Transition Grant. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, County Board members. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you a little bit about this as we springboard off of the comment earlier from Administrator Messelt about the PUC meeting for Circle 3 that's happening tonight. So this grant is specific for community energy transition communities. There are very few of them within the state of Minnesota. Becker and the surrounding area around the Sherco power plant is one of them. So we've taken advantage of this grant back in 2021, I believe, when it was a pilot program to help with some planning efforts for road projects that would help sustain and improve some of the economic viability in and around that power plant in that area, trying to offset some of the items that we'll be losing within the community because of the decommissioning of that plant. With the success of that pilot program, they have opted to do the program again in fiscal year 2024 and 2025. And so again, we'd like to submit a grant to help with the Tier 1 environmental process for the connectivity between Trunk Highway 10 and Interstate 94. This will help the entire community in the economic viability and looking for the county board support as we continue the efforts that have been started many, many years ago, but more actively about 8 years ago with the Trunk Highway 25 Coalition and then more recently the CMRP. So we are requesting $1 million through this grant, and there would be a county match, which we would also be looking to Wright County to support us with that match as well. And then in the meantime, if we're successful in receiving this community energy transition grant, we would then also be looking for other grant opportunities to help with that local match. So with that, I'll stand for any questions, but would recommend the approval of the resolution by the county board.
Mr. Chair, I am supportive of this, having worked with the, as Andrew mentioned, Highway 25 Coalition, now the CMRP Coalition, and this is a process, this Tier 1 review is necessary for us to continue to move forward. You don't get any federal or state dollars without going through this process. It's not a cheap process to go through when you're looking at working on your transportation needs and alternatives, and you're working with the river. So I am looking for the support that we will go for the $1 million deed grant, and then work with our partners in Wright County to achieve the Tier 1 review.
Is that a motion?
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the resolution
I'd throw that out.
050724-AD-13141, authorizing the submission of the community energy grant application to the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development to assist in the completion of the Trunk Highway 25 Tier 1 environmental review.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Does anybody have any more questions for Mr. Witter?
Do we, Mr. Chair, please, do we know what the match is or what percentage or amount or?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, Commissioner Phobie, we anticipate the Tier 1 to be about $2 million. So split between Wright County and Sherburne County, it'd be about $500,000. So it's something that we will incorporate into the 2025 budget. But as CMRP transitions from their previous function to their new function as a nonprofit, we'd be looking for assistance and support from them as well in lobbying efforts to help find some of those funds, as well as our efforts that we would do internally that, you know, traditionally you would see from us.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chair, yes, we would be continuing to look for other grant opportunities to achieve those matching needs.
Any other questions for Mr. Witter? Okay, hearing none, then any further discussion on the matter that has been motioned and seconded? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, none. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next, we are going to receive the American Rescue Plan, update and consider approval of recommended approvals and expenditures.
Good morning, Commissioners. This week, we only have one project to review. However, it is a process change in what we're currently doing, so Gina's going to provide a little background on what this would involve.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Thanks for the opportunity to present this request and provide a little bit more background. This ARPA request is for $15,000 to purchase the necessary tools and personal protective equipment, PPE, to equip existing personnel with what's needed to conduct small prescribed burns on county-owned land. And a little bit more context, many of you know and have heard me talk about on occasion that our parks are comprised largely of fire-dependent plant communities driven by disturbance. So without disturbance, like fire, every 3 to 5 years, our native prairies, oak savannas, and dry oak forests will degrade and lose diversity as invasive species move in and displace our native grasses, sedges, wildflowers, and tree and shrub seedlings. So as we've acquired county parkland, we have been conducting prescribed burns on 3 to 5 year rotation on all the prairies and oak savannas as grant funds have become available and local match has been available. Those burns vary in size from 40 acres to less than an acre. And we see a lot of benefit in building an in-house prescribed burn program because that would give us as staff the agility to capitalize on those narrow burn prescription windows to burn priority areas more frequently without budgetary burden. And priority areas, incidentally, are often the very small remnant prairie openings that contain the valuable original prairie genetics that we work very hard to preserve and protect, and prescribed fire is a big part of that. The other cost-saving benefit is that we would be contracting for fewer prescribed burns by only contracting for burns larger than roughly 3 acres, and reducing the cost of those large burns because we would be equipped and trained to provide the support for burn break installation and mop-up costs. We have also researched and confirmed requirements the county would need to meet and assurances that we would need to have in place, including MCIT coverage. So MCIT does cover county staff conducting prescribed burns on county-owned land. Proper use of PPE would be enforced, and all of the necessary tools and equipment would be made available for staff to conduct an effective and safe prescribed burn. We have experience and can provide training. Currently, the county employs 3 park staff who combined have 19 years of burn experience. 10 years of those are as a burn boss who has conducted over 100 successful prescribed burns on public and private land. We have the proper accreditation to provide basic and annual refresher training for 12 additional public works staff who are interested in being part of a prescribed burn program. And as a county, the Minnesota DNR Prescribed Burn Handbook provides a framework for us, but it does not oversee or enforce any of our prescribed burn program ways of conduct at all. Instead, as county staff, we pursue accreditation through the Minnesota Prescribed Fire Council. So additionally, every prescribed burn plan requires hours of preparation in planning to set the parameters for wind speed, minimum maximum, wind direction, smoke delivery, heat concerns, and contingency planning. Relative humidity minimum maximums are part of the prescription, and contingency plans are written should that go up or down. Fuel types, models, loading, and burn size are all calculated prior to ignition as they change as the days leading up to the fire approach. So those need to be checked right before ignition to ensure that those are within the parameters of the prescription. And that calculation determines the equipment, the personnel, and the hours that would be needed to conduct that prescribed burn. Minimum, maximum smoke dispersion categories are part of the prescription. Distance and direction from smoke-sensitive areas like hospitals, nursing homes, schools, livestock, and how smoke delivery to areas like that would be mitigated need to be spelled out in the plan. Safety measures of every plan include the safety zones, escape routes, contingency plans, and communication plans. And every plan also needs to list the local fire department contact, the local sheriff's office contact, the nearest hospital and clinic, and the local DNR forestry office. A plan with this level of detail is required to even get a permit through the DNR forestry office, which then also requires sign-off from the local fire chief. And I just want to put the proper image in your mind. So we're not talking fire country or anything here. Prescribed burns are, we don't call them controlled because they're done within a prescription. We don't want to imply that we have absolute control. They're done within a prescription so that they are controllable. But if any of the parameters are outside the prescription, there is a plan to extinguish the fire before it gets out of control. And then here are the pages, of a blank prescribed burn plan. And I just wanted to include that there because it really is very detailed and it holds us accountable to that really comprehensive and intentional planning process to be able to achieve successful prescribed burns. So I appreciate you considering this request. And Mr. Chair, I'd open it up to questions.
Yep, so we'll have questions at this time and then later we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, Gina, I want to thank you for your detailed and very well full of information requests or documentation to support your request. It's very, very interesting to find out what goes on behind these managed burns, maybe prescribed managed burns instead of controlled. That's just a comment. I'm in favor of the request for, I think it looks like it's going to save us money too.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just a quick question. I know MCIT will cover it as long as we follow all the requirements. Is it a significant increase in the cost of the insurance to the county?
I did not ask our risk management specialist if there was an increase in cost, but we can provide that information in a follow-up email.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any additional costs, but I do want to highlight and publicly thank Kathy. She helped us really review this from not just a risk management standpoint, but a legal standpoint. And I think the clarification was super helpful. So, but we'll follow up on that.
Yeah, I think this is a good plan. I just saw that last week that one of the companies that provides some of this equipment, just use like, basically small flamethrowers and that sort of thing. They came out with a robotic dog that does this. I'm not in favor of that. I will withdraw my support if we use robotic flamethrowers.
What if it was on a leash?
No,
Okay.
no. Nobody's seen Terminator.
Nobody seems to be considering Skynet anymore, and that's a problem.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I'm fascinated with this, and I have actually observed a number of prescribed burns in our county, and there might be people on this dais that would like to be a part of this, in addition to the whole public works staff, it looks like, according to your numbers. But it's fascinating to me, and also just studying the whole process of the importance of it is, and I've used some on my own property, so.
Yeah, I'm in favor of this because, it just sets us up to be better prepared to participate in the beautiful dichotomy that is fire that brings life. It's just so fascinating that is what the ecology here requires. So this is a great thing, and to be able to handle this in-house is a great idea. So I guess at this point, we'd entertain a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Hulse, rapidly seconded by Commissioner Colby. And all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gina.
I'll bring the hot dogs.
Dick snacks.
You heard it here. Yep. All right, let's see. And so then we are on to Commissioner correspondence, committee reports, upcoming meetings, and future agenda items. Who would like to go first?
I can go.
Okay.
Just gonna list them off. Met with the Community Action Mental Health Initiative. That's our 4-county Community Action Initiative. Participated in the Sherco tour with all of you. The Park and Trail Advisory Committee met, and they named Dean Kleinhans as the chair, and from the Baldwin area, and James Bedell, who's the at-large, one of the at-large members, is vice chair. Was at the Sherburne County Area Township meeting with most of you. Had a Joint Powers Board executive meeting for Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services with our new executive team, just to do some planning. Met with the multidisciplinary team of the county, which every time I meet with them, they talk about a handful of people in our county that are our most vulnerable individuals, and it blows me away the work that they do on these to help give these people hope and give them lives that are productive. TRICAP Finance met. TRICAP Board meeting met. Our new executive director starts tomorrow. I can't be more excited. Region 3 Leadership Planning Board, so that's a combination, a group of Central Minnesota Jobs and Training, and then our Career Solutions. It's another layer of workforce development in the state that we meet quarterly to talk about initiatives that we have in common. The Shack Retreat Planning Group met. I want to reiterate, I want to go back up to our Sherburne County area townships, because I want to keep reminding us that I want something regarding public health or HHS to be happening at our township level, just so that they know how much that is a part of the responsibility of counties. And then those were all mainly the things that are committee specific. A few other things that I participated in addition to many constituent and community efforts. The NACO Immigration Task Force, which we did, had a whole presentation from a company called FWD.US, Forward US, just talking about immigration and its impact, especially due to lack of legal pathways, the effect on our workforce. And unless we can really figure this out, I know immigration is controversial for everyone, but we will not be able to fill our workforce issues without a different pathway to immigration, and I just find those discussions fascinating on the national level. NACO Rural Action met. I participated in the National Day of Prayer, both in Princeton and Zimmerman, in the pouring rain. The AMC Board of Directors met. Just a reminder that on June 10th, our AMC district meeting will be in Chisago. You've probably all had an invitation to that. And NACO Healthy Advisory Counties met. And I think that was it. I also popped in on the sub coalition to make sure that Commissioner Danielowski's doing her job. So.
Was she?
She really just popped in because she knew there was treats.
Yeah, they have the best treats. And I was in the building, so I used to serve, or I used to be the liaison, so it was great to see everyone at SUP. They do great work. So that's it.
Who'd like to go next?
I'm good. The 17th, we did the SCAT meeting. I think most of us were there. The 18th, to planning and zoning, which were most of the things we went through today at the meeting. On the 22nd, I met with the president of the airport board and the director in regard to some future planning that they're doing. They wanted my input on that. We did 26th, we did the Sherco coal plant tour, which was, to me, I've lived here my whole life, that was fascinating. I thought, you know, American ingenuity at its best. The 29th, we did the Upper Sioux community, I thought was real good. It was a goodwill gesture, I think, if nothing else. I think what we went down there for, we accomplished, I think. We got answers to our questions, and like I said, it was a goodwill gesture. May 1st, I met with the Soil Water Conservation District Extension for the Farm Family of the Year meeting to make a recommendation of that. May 2nd, we did the Towards Zero Death Conference in St. Cloud, which I thought was, one of the topics was accident reconstruction, where they went from 3 to 4 hours of reconstruction process using a drone. They now do it in about 10 to 15 minutes. They just load it into a software. It's Big Brother's watching. They don't even hardly take statements anymore. They just do it by the drone. I thought it was just fascinating. And then a shout out coming up here May 17th, the Sherburne County History Center. They're having their a fundraiser, 6 to 10 a silent auction dinner at the Buffs in Big Lake. So if we're all available for that, that would be great to go to that. So that was me.
Outstanding, thank you.
Okay. April 17th, I attended the Sherburne County Sub Coalition meeting that Commissioner Phobie had referred to. We had a lot of discussion around the sticker shock program that is done yearly right around the prom time and graduation time. We had a lot of good discussion in regards to things that we want to do coming up to spend down the grant dollars that we have. So it is really, it's a great group of people that are working hard to try to figure out how to to do substance use prevention for our county and our youth. So I'm very proud to be a member of that. And it was nice to see Commissioner Phobie pop in. Also attended the SCAT meeting that everybody has already mentioned. And April 18th, attended the county EDA meeting. I'll let Andrew give that update. And April 19th, attended the Big Lake Substance Use Prevention meeting. And that is an offshoot of the Sub Coalition for Sherburne County. And a lot of good work is being done by that group. And they have a very, very engaged youth committee that is really working hard to promote ways that they can reach their peers in regards to keeping them away from substance use. And then also April 22nd had the my options board meeting, and I did want to give an update. They had their first pancake breakfast that they were looking to raise money for their outside options. What they're trying to do is build outside of options an outdoor area for clients and stuff to be able to use. As we all know, being outside, being in nature is very helpful for everybody. So they're working on raising funds to provide that opportunity. They had over 240 people attend their first event, and they were proud to say that they had raised $3,700 towards that. And anybody can donate to that cause too, to achieve that outside options. And then also attended the April 24th, the Big Lake Township meeting. April 25th, had the CMRP meeting. Also toured the Block 52 building over in Monticello that everybody talks about on social media, the big building that's right off of 25 and County Road 75. Also attended the Tri-County, and that was also the day, attended the Tri-County Solid Waste meeting up in St. Cloud. Also had the opportunity to attend the cybersecurity seminar. Myself, our IT director, Brian, was there. Our county attorney, Kathleen, was there. And I have to say, it is amazing how much we have to pay attention to our cybersecurity needs. And I came away with lots of questions, and I'm hoping that we can have a workshop to really wrap our heads around where we want to be, what it takes to get there, and support that effort, because nobody wants to deal with an attack that is going to cost us a lot of money at some point. So anything we can do to protect that, I think, is money well spent. Then also, the 26th, got to tour the Sherburne coal plant, as we all did. That was just totally fascinating. That place is massive. And when you look at what they're doing in the decommissioning, I think one of my questions was, where is all this steel going? Because it's a lot of steel. And they do have plans to recycle it, so that was good to hear as well. Also got to see up on the rooftop, got to see where when we drive by Highway 10 around the holidays, and we see the light up of the Christmas decoration on the top of the building, we got to actually see it up close and personal. Highest point in Sherburne County, correct, yep. Also then attended met with a couple for their concerns in regards to County Road 83. I think by the time that we were done talking with them, I think that they were very relieved and really felt, had a positive feeling about the road project going forward. So I want to thank Andrew and David and Bruce for taking that time to go out there and personally meet with them. I think it helped a lot. And then also that evening attended the Rivers of Hope Black and White fundraiser. Rivers of Hope is a organization that serves both Wright County and Sherburne County in regards to domestic abuse. It's a great organization. They do a lot of good work. Unfortunately, it's an organization that I wish we didn't have to have, but I'm happy that they're there to help support those needs. April 30th had the Tri-County Solid Waste Executive Board meeting. We did quite a bit of conversation in regards to where are we going. We are an organization that works with Benton County, Stearns County, and Sherburne County, and the whole goal was around the Pope Douglas contract that was to help keep solid waste, or keep waste product out of our landfill. So now we're kind of looking at, we still want to continue to work together. What do we have to do in order for our three counties to be able to collaboratively keep working, going towards different opportunities that we can do hopefully together. The goal is to keep as much as we can out of our local landfills. So that was that meeting, and then I also attended, May 1st was the Options Blackbird Coffee event, recognizing their first year here at the Government Center, and also to be there to congratulate them on being nominated and awarded the MORE Award, and that stands for Minnesota Organization for Habilitation and Rehabilitation, and they were being honored out of 5 other agencies for what they are doing in regards to the Blackbird coffee cart that's here and powered by Options. And if I can get my, there we go, okay. This year's winners included the businesses operated by people with disabilities, with programs designed to break down barriers to disability employment and opportunities for people with disabilities to learn non-traditional skills and in their skills add value to their communities and being uplifted and celebrated in regards to their employment opportunities. And then also May 2nd, National Day of Prayer Breakfast in my community, attended that event. It was a very large turnout. It was good to see everybody come together. And then May 3rd, the Serve Big Committee, which is at the local school in addressing homelessness in their youth population. And then along with other constituent contacts, and like I had said before, a lot of contacts from concerned child care providers with the new potential rules that the HHS is looking at down at the state level. That's it.
Thank you.
Your turn.
All right, so Administrator Metzold and myself met with the Sherburne County Fair Board, continuing the discussions on the lease negotiations, and those discussions continue. Then we had the EDA meeting the next morning. The big thing out of that is we're doing a comprehensive relook at the housing study. Primarily, how housing is being used with respect to workforce housing has changed since 2020. So we're opting for a complete refresh to figure out what the needs are for that. Met with Representative Emmer's staff later that day. And then the next week we had, sorry here, lose my place. Next week I met with, we did a couple of business visits through the EDA. So met with the Y over here in Elk River. That was a nice tour, nice program. It was they had folks come up from the cities to talk about the programs and what they're doing as well. So that was nice. We were able to talk a little bit about maybe some innovative ideas around childcare. Some of the things that they're trying to do. So that would be helpful and fits in with the EDA as well. Also had the opportunity to meet with a constituent on some constituent concern issues. Had a couple of phone calls as well, but all those generally went pretty well. And then we had the Sherco tour that we all attended. I also went to the Rivers of Hope Gala that night. We also had a second business visit with, actually it's a yoga and wellness studio here in Elk River as well. Very interesting business model for them. So I really enjoy the business meetings and hearing what's working and what's not working with respect to with some of the local businesses and things that are coming into town. So, and I think those are my main points.
Okay, thank you very much. So for myself, there's a lot of energy-related items, but I'm going to start out with, it's Correctional Officers Week. I want to thank all correctional officers out there for their service, and if you do know anyone in that, or run across anybody in that business, thank them for their service this week. It is also the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month this month, so that's worth noting. For myself, in my meetings and activities, I went to the Two Inlets Park meeting. The big thing that's happening out there is 78 acres of native planting and some mowing being done and a lot of fence going to be removed before they start working on taking apart the buildings later this fall. I went to the Energy Transition Advisory Committee, which I'm on the board of. I sat through that. The big thing at the Energy Transition Advisory Committee was talking about the new resource reliability plans for Xcel and Minnesota Power. Minnesota Power is looking at base load and changing technology that requires larger load. Minnesota Power became 50% renewable in 2020, which was the highest at that time. That's worth noting. The next IRP will be the most expensive as thermal assets are coming to, and then they don't have a plan for full reliability yet. That's kind of a constant that you're going to hear in what's going on with energy right now, is how do we get to full reliability. The ETAC plan, we have to have Xcel Energy said they're doing their public hearings, which we just talked about. Then their responses will be done. All these plans need to be heard sometime in 2025. They should have theirs ready by February 2025. The ETAC plan itself, state statute, we have to update the plan. So we're going to start working on that at our next Energy Transition Advisory Committee meeting. On 4/24, I sat through a webinar from an organization called CURE, which is called Tilting at Windmills, which discussed issues with energy permitting for the county and local areas. One thing that they discussed there, which was really super interesting to me, is that out in Morton County, North Dakota, they had a large carbon capture plant, which is like 800 giant fans gathering carbon, shoving it in, and then trying to blow it into the ground to sequester it. But they didn't even have an ordinance for something to regulate that. So this is the kind of thing that as energy issues continue, we're going to have to start thinking about if these kind of items come up. We probably don't even have regulation or ordinances for some of the things that might be coming down the pike for us. So those are things to keep in mind. CMRP, Rand really covered that really well. I went to a CFR webinar on energy and trade priorities with the governor of Oklahoma. There's some interesting points in there that 50% of all the wind energy, all the energy in Oklahoma is wind. They have their largest Google data center down there. So they're dealing with some of the things that we are rapidly transitioning into a non-fossil fuel energy grid, but they are also dealing with a lot of high energy user businesses coming in. So one of the things that they're looking at in Oklahoma is that there's some of the companies are considering setting up their own small power plants to run their businesses, including modular nuclear, which they don't have a problem with permitting down there. I liked his point that he advocates more of everything. Rather than, they don't have much coal, they've got a lot of gas because they have easily accessible natural gas in Oklahoma. But what they're saying is don't close the power sources we have right now, add more to meet the future demand. I like that philosophy. It'd be nice to have that up here, but that's not where we're at right now. He mentioned that we could, one great thing about coal in oil or those types of power plants is that you can stockpile fuel for those and better prepare for long distance emergencies, which I thought was a really good point. And then they talked a little bit about medical marijuana, and the only thing I want to mention about that is that they had problems with illegal activity from Chinese cartels coming in and growing more marijuana and then trying to sell it outside of the country. So as we transition to our marijuana legalization, we might want to keep aware of those kind of things. Tri-County Solid Waste, Rand covered that very well. The only thing I did want to mention is that we can only put about 5% more into the Pope Douglas plant, so some of these other programs that they're looking at may be the ones that really help us reduce our overall load into the landfills. Executive Steering Committee, we primarily talked about pay scales and our position in the labor market and what we're going to have to, what we may have to spend or how we're going to be able to retain our high-quality employees or recruit more high-quality employees, which is always, in this job market, is a major task, quite a challenge. I went to the Becker Families in Need meeting. They got a child care grant for Sherburne County. There's a town hall meeting on child care on May 20th at the Pebble Creek Golf Club at 5:30, and that should be a really an item of interest for a lot of people. And then also the Becker Better Together event will be May 19th, which is a multi-community wellness event, including, and I'm sure this will excite a lot of people, Cuckoo Kangaroo Band. That's important. I also went to the Blackbird Coffee Anniversary, which has been covered. The Sherco tour I thought was fantastic. It makes me sad that we're closing that down because it is really well-run and well-maintained plant. But one of the things I did like there is that they are going to turn at least units 1 and 2 into synchronous condensers in the future. Unit 3 may also become a synchronous condenser, which will keep the generators in the building, which does keep jobs there. And also, the manager of the plant is going to try to keep, like, their shop, their large shop that handles machine repairs that other places cannot handle. She's trying to do whatever she can to keep good jobs going at that plant and keep as much of that physical plant going as possible, which I find excellent. Sherburne County Water Board, we got 2 new staff at the Sherburne County Soil and Water Conservation District. They got a 4-year grant to help with ag producers. They're focusing on nitrogen in our drinking water right now. And there's a new focus in the RAPS program about maintaining good quality water bodies, which instead of just focusing on those water bodies that are struggling, they also want to make sure we're preserving the ones that are good. And the ones that are identified are Sugar Lake, Big Lake, and Mitchell in this area, which is great that we have some really nice clear lakes that we just have to maintain that clarity. I had a meeting on public septic thing that we're working on, trying to see if we can do anything to help some of these housing HOAs that have these large failing septic systems. We're working on that, trying to see if we can do anything for them and what we could do for them. The Central Region Towards Zero Death Conference, I was really excited about the changes in doing accident reconstruction, having spent many hours either securing the scenes or literally out there standing and holding the pole for the accident reconstruction. Is the idea that they can do it faster, more efficiently, and more effective using the drones. That's a great thing. Another thing that I thought was a really good point that they talked about up there was that Axon now has a new surveillance system that can search all connected cameras for specific described data suspect vehicles. So that's kind of Big Brother-ish on the one hand, but if we can actually search our existing traffic cameras to find a suspect, particularly like in a kidnapping case or something like that, that's some pretty fantastic stuff. Let's see. Kind of move on from there. And then I think that's about all I had on my committees. There is one thing I did want to mention. Yeah, Police Week is coming up, absolutely. But last month, 29 officers were shot in the United States, 29, by the best data that I could get a hold of. And now for the last 2 weeks, I've been watching officers on TV all across this country be assaulted with rocks, bottles, bodily fluids on campuses and in the streets of America. And these kids are attacking the police. They have been taught that this is correct. This is an honorable thing to do if you are fighting for what they believe to be the good guys. In this case, the good guys are Hamas, which is a terrorist organization. It's not really terribly surprising. This has been building for years, universities, in the media. These kids have been taught to hate. The thing that is really clear to me now, though, is that how big the organizations, the nonprofits, and the non-governmental organizations that support these efforts have become and how well-funded they are. I mean, we had a master's degree in social activism at St. Cloud University up until recently. So this is actually a job for people. And if they don't have something to protest, they don't have work to do. Some of these NGOs and nonprofits are likely to be receiving government funding. But right now, they're literally supporting illegal activities, demonizing Jewish people, supporting international terrorist organizations that are literally chanting "Death to America" as part of their events. So I just kind of feel, as a government official, and this is my main point for this whole diatribe, is that we need to be very diligent to ensure that we are not inadvertently funding non-governmental organizations and nonprofits that are working with these types of organizations to literally damage America and assault the police. Amen. And that's really all I have. That's it. That's it.
We can't go on for 5 more minutes or 10 or anything like that?
We have nothing else at this point.
Real quickly, thank you, Mr. Chair. What time did you say that childcare meeting was on May 20th at Pebble Creek?
Let me go back to that. It is at 5:30 p.m.
Awesome, thank you.
So if there's nothing else, at this point, we will take a break until, let's take a 10-minute break. We're just a bit behind.